My brothers and sisters, may the Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus began to reproach the towns where most of his mighty deeds had been done, since they had not repented. Woe to you, Chorazin! Woe to you, Bethsaida! For if the mighty deeds done in your midst had been done in Tyre and Sidon, they would long ago have repented in sackcloth and ashes. But I tell you, it will be more tolerable for Tyre and Sidon on the day of judgment than for you. And as for you, Capernaum, will you be exalted to heaven? You will go down to the nether world. For if the mighty deeds done in your midst had been done in Sodom, it would have remained until this day. But I tell you, it will be more tolerable for the land of Sodom on the day of judgment than for you. The Gospel of the Lord. We continue to see the story of Moses unfold in the book of Exodus this morning, as we are told of his birth and his consequent being taken over by Pharaoh's daughter to be raised in the house of Pharaoh. And it's sort of interesting, of course, what's happening in the book of Exodus, and we continue to see through salvation history, is that there's innumerable moments where God intervenes and creates an atmosphere within which his plan can unfold. And so it is the girl, the nursemaid, who comes to take care of Moses, who's actually the mother of Moses. And it is the Pharaoh's daughter that makes sure that he is protected. We find, even though that's the case, that God continues the plan of making things easy in some ways for Moses, that it isn't always perfect. And of course, in our own experience, it's the same. God sometimes interjects in our lives and ends up putting us in situations and with people that we perhaps never would have done otherwise, but because of his plan, it's part of the process. But at the same time, it's not always easy going. And so we find Moses today at the conclusion of that text having to go off into Midian to free himself from the possibility of being murdered by Pharaoh. And of course he isn't, because in God's plan, that's not what's going to take place. In God's plan, Moses will become the vehicle out of which the people of Israel will be freed from their slavery. We find that kind of imagery of Moses is in many ways, for Matthew, the way that he sees Jesus as the new Moses. And some of the things that happened to Moses in the book of Exodus in varying forms tends to happen as well to Jesus. And so today we see a little example of, even though his message is being proclaimed, even though it's God's plan for this message to be dispersed among all the peoples, that it doesn't automatically mean that they accept it. Many reject it. In fact, he's frustrated at the fact that these towns where he's done so many miracles have not paid attention to it, have not changed as a result. It is a delicate balance between God intervening and making things easy for us, at the same time allowing the natural order of things to continue, that is part and parcel of the human condition. Today, then, let's be mindful of those moments when God intervenes in our lives and calls us to something special, or puts us into a means or into a situation that we least expected, that becomes for us a moment of grace. And at the same time, to realize that there are moments as well where we'll not be finding such easiness in our following the gospel, that the cross will be there. There'll be some who will reject, and sometimes even we ourselves reject in the process of trying to believe.